Today we're going to talk about neurodivergency, medication, and beds. I promise I'm going somewhere with this, just hang on. So yesterday, a teacher friend of mine called me looking for advice because she has a student with ADHD whose mom is hell-bent on fixing him and making him normal by throwing medication at him. Now, his mom grew up in a really traditional environment, doesn't have a lot of experience with neurodiversity, and so my friend asked, how can I explain what medication does for a neurodivergent kid in a way that will make sense to the mom? And so I thought about it for a long time, and this is the analogy I came up with. Let's pretend you have a bed, and one day you spill coffee on one of your blankets. You can take that blanket, you can throw it in the washer will clean the blanket, and it will be good as new. That's how conventional medication works. Going to the doctor because you have bronchitis, or a cold, or an ear infection, whatever. That kind of medication fixes things. The same way your washing machine removes a stain, that kind of medication concretely fixes things. The problem is solved. Now let's pretend that instead of spilling coffee on a sheet, your mattress itself has a problem. It's a structural problem. Maybe it's really lumpy, or for whatever reason one of the legs broke off of your bedstand. Structural problems are different because structural problems just don't appear. They were there all along. And that's like ADHD. There are structural differences in our brains. Now, some people might not have that much trouble living with their ADHD. Maybe it causes a few problems for them here and there, but for the most part, they can get by. You live with the mattress. Now, some people might say, I really can't live with a mattress like this. I need to do something about it. But what that looks like for every person, and to extend the metaphor past its breaking point, every bed looks different. For some people, it might just mean turning the mattress, going to therapy, building structures and systems that work for them. For some people, if their bed needs a lot of support, they might have to bring in additional tools to help them solve the issue. Tools like medication. And all of those things are perfectly valid ways to navigate through your life. The problem is that a lot of people take a third option. They look at their coffee spill or their lumpy mattress, and they say, well, if I just put a shiny blanket on top of it, nobody will notice. If I just cover this up and pretend like everything is okay, it will be. It'll get fixed on its own. And that's not the case either. We need to be able to admit when we're struggling. We need to be able to admit when our systems and our structures aren't working for us. The most important part is remembering that beds are not necessarily going to change. And it doesn't make them any better or any worse. It just means that sometimes your family might be a farmhouse, but your kid is an Art Deco bed. And forcing them to be a farmhouse bed, when they shine as an Art Deco bed, you're just throwing another blanket on top of the problem. Medication doesn't fix neurodivergency. It just doesn't. It supports, it helps us get through the day. But if the conversation around medication becomes about making normal and fixing, you're fundamentally going to be disappointed. Just because you don't like the design doesn't mean that there's not a home where that bed would be cherished, appreciated, and valued. That kind of made sense.